It's good to see you.
It's good seeing you, Sean. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Doing
Good,
good.
good.
Yeah.
What is on your mind this week?
Um, so on my mind is just some of the things that are happening in our world, like culturally happening, and a lot of a lot of the kind of the noise and that's happening around everything in America right now and the world. But it's just a lot of noise all the time, and there's a lot of things that people are saying and doing that if you stop and just think about what they're saying and doing, you're going, I wonder why they're saying and doing those things. Like, are they stopping and thinking about what they're saying before they say it? And I think a lot of times, people on social media aren't really stopping and thinking. They're just reacting to things, and a reaction is just something that can happen like in a snap moment. I think other people are thinking about it, maybe purposefully using events to promote themselves or promote a point of view, something like that. But I was thinking about it in terms of what role the role that the back channel plays in all of this. And so that's kind of what's been on my mind. So the back channel, as you know, and our listeners, if you've listened more than a time or two, should know that the back channel is your non-conscious brain and how it performs and how it acts and what it does to keep you acting and moving and thinking and breathing. And it almost everything that we do originates in our non-conscious, in our back channel brain. And then the on channel is what you're consciously aware of. And so reactions come almost always from the back channel. Like you take something in, the back channel processes it and pushes forward an immediate response to it. So then it's it's I guess it's a way, what I was thinking of is it's a way to get a good idea of what people are thinking based on how they respond, how their back channel responds. And so just, there's a news person talking about people experiencing homelessness that said, I think what we should do with them is involuntary lethal injections, because they're in the way and they're causing trouble. And the part that's I think planned and thought through is tying people experiencing homelessness with danger and crime, and we've got to get them off our streets. And so then it makes you feel like, well, then we got to do something with them. And in reality, people experiencing homelessness aren't dangerous. They're, if you look at stats, are less dangerous than per capita than any other group. And so, or not any more dangerous than any other group. So, and I also think that a lot of people are experiencing homelessness the because of the financial situation and the economy that we're in right now, where people are really struggling, and it just takes missing a couple of payments or something, and all of a sudden you find yourself without shelter. And so now you're trying to seek shelter, and I also know that it is a very short road from losing shelter to starting to struggle with mental disorders. It is a really short road. And so a lot of people that lose their house in a short amount of time are struggling with a lot of mental issues that they're trying to deal with and work through. And it's tough. I hope I don't face it anytime. But if you do face that, then you hope that there's some kind of help for you, rather than you being all of a sudden now this terrible, dangerous person because you couldn't make your house payment. I mean, that. So I think, and I also understand that there's a large portion of people experiencing homelessness that are in mental distress, and it's not all just because they lost their home. Some of them can't kind of gather the means to have a home because of mental disorders. So maybe they have schizophrenia, really, to a place where they can't, have a daily, they can't survive daily on their own because of schizophrenia. And so there's really not, there's not that many hospitals anymore that will help people with schizophrenia unless you're very wealthy and can pay for it. So now if
Hmm.
you're poor and you have schizophrenia, now you're on the street and you might be, more dangerous than because of schizophrenia, just like if you are living in a protected home with a family with schizophrenia and you walk to the store, you could be dangerous as well. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
schizophrenia that can cause the danger, not the fact that they're homeless. But a lot of people that are experiencing homelessness because of schizophrenia, that's kind of one way to classify it. But then there's a lot of people that have mental illnesses and disorders because they're homeless. So that was a long way to just get around to saying, I'm looking at people who respond like, well, I know what we should do with them. We should round them all up and do involuntary lethal injections. And that's like a back channel response. And then I'm thinking, when I hear those responses from people, okay, I can write that off. That's a back channel response, but what are you putting in your mind? Like, what's your back channel filled with that would be your back channel response? So yeah, it's just something that's been on my mind a lot lately, just because I'm wondering why we're at the place we are in America where people can spew such hateful things and there's no consequences for it. And they're sometimes even, admired for it. I just don't get that.
I
I
was
don't
going
know.
to say there's a reward for it in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, so rewarding this behavior, so many things here for me, and I'll just try to kind of let me just prioritize them so I don't spend an hour on my crazy thoughts. But the first thing is, it's interesting. Let's just start at the beginning, what you were saying about the back channel, on channel processing. That I know about myself, my back channel is a jerk, left unchecked. I say and do things that I regret. If my on channel is not constantly monitoring what I'm saying, and I will, to defend myself a little bit, or to, I don't know, but it's generally in an attempt to be funny. I'm
Hmm.
usually my most annoying when I'm trying to be funny, and I know that about myself.
Yeah.
But so again, the mechanism in my on channel that says, don't say that, don't do that, that's gonna embarrass you, hurt someone's feelings, all of those things. And then there's factors that lessen my on channel's ability to do its job. Stress, emotion,
Hmm.
alcohol, to be frank.
Hmm.
Um, and then so when my back channel is left to its own devices, invariably I do something I regret, or say something that I regret.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's just me.
Yep.
I try to be aware of it. I try to be on top of that. I said all of that to say, what if there was a system in place where I was actually rewarded for saying these egregious things? And and I'll get to my question here in a second, because this is really interesting to me, that I want to believe in the good in people and humanity. I have to believe in that, or what else
Hmm.
is there for me?
Hmm.
But when someone can get online and say just really not even hurtful things, just really, really trying to find the right word to describe it, but it is extremely unhelpful to humanity moving forward, if that makes sense. That may be
Hmm.
even too vague.
Hmm.
But I get onto some social media platform and say something. Let's just go back to what you said. Is I have the solution for houselessness in this country. Round them up and give them lethal injection, or whatever that
Hmm.
thing was.
Hmm.
That in no way is helping humanity in any way. It doesn't help anybody.
Hmm.
But it gets likes, it gets views, it gets all of these things, and I get a dopamine hit from that. I get a reward for saying on social media something hateful and gross and not
Hmm.
helpful.
Yep.
And if that gets replicated enough times, now I'm in this thing where I'm striving to say all of these things.
Hmm.
And so that's where that was Sean before this conversation. And what you just brought up, what you're making me think about is, and I guess better yet, that's the question for you, is in order for me to post those things on social media or say those things at an event or any of that, are you saying that that is something that I have put into my back channel already? Those thoughts, those feelings.
Yes, yeah. So, but you're making a good distinction because you're saying that everybody's back channel is a jerk. That's kind of the point of it, because your back channel prioritizes you over everybody else. It's about survival. It's about all of the things that we know about a back channel. It's evolutionarily wired in for our drives and those types of things for to help us survive, to put us at the very top, to protect us over everyone else. And I know that includes you protect your family or whatever, but those are hardwired in. But then I think that beyond that, so you can be a jerk in that sense. You can be selfish, like, I want that last piece of cake. I'm going to try to grab it before
Hmm.
anybody else does. Well, that's kind of a jerk move if everybody's sitting around and you're grabbing the last piece of cake or whatever, unless everybody's passed up on it. But
I'm
it's
sorry
like,
to interrupt. Can I ask you a question though about the back channel?
yeah.
Does the back channel have any concept of consequences?
Um, so it learns from consequences.
Okay.
It
Okay.
learns what it can do from consequences. It doesn't think ahead about what a consequence will be. It's more of a
That's what I mean.
consequences get paired with behaviors through learning, so it learns what it can and can't do.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it doesn't. But it doesn't. I thought you said, "Can I ask you one question?" I thought you were going to ask me, do you think I really believe that you wouldn't take the last piece of cake? I thought it was going to
Oh
be a
no,
cake
I
reference,
would.
but okay.
Oh no, no, no. I
No, I
would.
mean
I would
about
take
me,
the.
that I would.
Oh no, I would take the last piece of cake. No, no,
But
no. But in all seriousness, what I was trying to get to is I was trying to get myself to the thing, because you said, our back channel is filled with instincts, drives, habits, all of
Mhm.
those things. But I guess what I was leaning towards is that all of those things take priority over the outcome of those behaviors.
Yeah,
So if
unless.
my on channel is not stopping or redirecting that behavior, my back
Mhm.
channel is just I just think about the back channel like it's just here to party, and really is not thinking about the consequences of behavior. It's like me, me, me. I want to make myself feel good or get ahead or do these things. That's how we're hardwired,
Yes.
and that's where I was going with that line.
Yeah, and then but learning can change what the back channel does through learning. But yeah, that's what it's there for, and it's again to, like, selfish, to put me first. I want the last piece of cake or whatever. But that's different from then coming up with things like, yeah, we should just you know give lethal injection to all of them because they're in our way and they're not.
Hmm.
That's a little bit different than just wanting the last piece of cake, and that's, I think, comes from entertaining thoughts that are maybe pushing the limit, and so those are exciting to you. And then when something's exciting, that you give your attention to it, so your back channel learns, oh, that's important. And so it's just like, is this important for us, or is this something we're going to be doing, is listening and thinking about these types of things, and are these kind of extremist views important? And the answer, if they're important or not, is if you're giving your time and attention to them. And then especially if it's exciting in some way, kind of surprising and exciting, that gives a dopamine shot, which really makes you more likely to seek that out again. And then when you say something that's a little bit edgy like that and you get the reward on social media, that makes you more likely. So in a sense, you're training your back channel to come up with those types of thoughts. Like, uh, I mean, I don't think you would have thought of an answer to homelessness is to kill them all. I mean, that's not like your first thought. That's not just a natural thought that comes out. What should we do with people who are experiencing homelessness? Let's kill them all. That's not, just a kind of a knee jerk reaction. That has to be, I think, without judging people and their intentions, that has to be kind of fostered in some way to get to the point where that's your first knee-jerk reaction, because this person was Brian Kilmeade on Fox News, came out later and said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." And it's like, yeah, you shouldn't have, but I'm also interested in why you said it in the first place, because that was, that would be the last thing that would come to your mind. Why was that on the front of your mind? So have you thought through this before, or is this just your back channel because you're looking for, rewards and hits and boosts and things like that? I don't know. So I guess that's what's been on my mind, that I wish that we would all be a little bit more careful in our words, and because people hear that, and that's going to be a boost to somebody else. Go, ooh, I want to think more about that and hear a little bit. Yeah, what if we did do that? And then they discuss it with friends, and now you've got people going, further down that rabbit hole. And so there's more conditioning and more training taking place, and it's just, I don't know why we're at the place we're at right now, but we are. So it's just me kind of thinking about the role the back channel plays in some of what's going on.
Yeah, and that's where I try to balance between being naive about human beings with rose-colored glasses, and then also being vilifying people, because my belief is that there are truly evil people in the world. There are, but they're so few and far between. I mean, the numbers are there. I think we talked about this with like psychopaths and how many of them actually are. When you look at the numbers, it's a very, very small number of people.
Yes.
And so if we set that to the side and just acknowledge that there are some people that are going to hurt other people, take advantage of other people. The reason we built prisons, it's a very small number of people, actually. Then we'll take this case where someone who has, in my opinion, a built-in responsibility because they're on the air, because they're on a highly watched, no matter what your political affiliation is, Fox News is watched by a lot of people. And so if you are on that show, just my opinion, I'm not even speaking for the podcast or for you, John. My belief is there's a certain responsibility that comes with that, or at least it used to. And so now this person that you're referencing gets on the air and says something like that, like we should kill other human beings because of the situation that they're in, however they got there. There's a lot of different reasons, but here's where I'm getting to with all that rambling is that the way that I believe this, and maybe you can disavow me of this, but is that it's more about, it's not really about killing houseless people. It's about training your back channel to say the craziest stuff you can get away with. Not specifically, but just, I want to say something that causes a stir, that causes a reaction. And maybe, and I'm asking this in the form of a question, even though it sounds like a statement, a 10-minute statement, but like, can you train your back channel to not have specific things like this, like thinking about killing houseless people, but more training it to go, I'm going to say the most outlandish stuff that I can. I'm going to say this, or tweet or post whatever. And those things that get those hits, that's what I train my brain to do. And then, so now spur of the moment, I'm sitting there and just go, and say this crazy thing that I shouldn't be saying. But it's more that I've trained my brain to do that. Is this making sense? And is there any answer for this?
Yeah, it's making sense. I think so. I think there are people that purposefully see how far out they can go and to shock people and say things that are shocking.
Yeah.
And I think they have their own reasons for doing that. I think this person, Brian Kilmeade, and I don't know that much about him, but I don't think he's that type of person. I don't think he's always trying to say things that are really shocking, and I think it's
Okay.
more
This is
of,
interesting. Okay.
I think it's more of, he's been hearing things and thinking about things, and that was just his back channel blurting this out, which is, I think I'm more worried about that than I am the
Me too.
people who
This
are
is,
trying to really push the edge and be as edgy as they can and say the most outrageous things to get clicks, because that's one part of it. But
mhm.
then I think if you're just reading, if you're just going through and you go, oh, this is interesting. What this very wild, outrageous statement is interesting. I'm going to see how people are commenting on this. Oh, there's a lot of people agreeing with it. Let me see what else this person has said. So then you click on, you start reading more, and oh, that's interesting, because now this is your what you're telling your back channel is this kind of stuff is worth our time. We need to figure this out. So your back channel is learning through pairing and associations and all of that, that these are the important things that it should be thinking about. There's all this horrific things, all these horrific things you're reading, which is why it's important not to, spend your day reading these horrific things, because then thoughts like this will pop up and you don't know where they've come from. Like, why did I say that? Why did I think that usually? Or sometimes in this case, why did I say that? I shouldn't have. Like, yeah, but how did you even think to say that? It's because of what you've been filling your mind with
You've
that
trained
got
your
you to this point.
non-conscious brain to think like this,
Yeah,
even maybe even
theoretically.
inadvertently.
Yes.
Social media. If you like to go on there and see all the bad stuff,
Hmm.
and you get into these doom spirals on social media where you just and bigger. We've talked about how AI pushes forward the stuff that you see, that all the stuff
Hmm.
we've talked about. But I could inadvertently, if I'm not aware of this and paying attention to it, train my brain to go, here are the important things to me.
Yeah. And I'm speaking theoretically. I'm not
Right, right.
trying to say what Brian Kilmeade's intentions were or what he's been doing in his own
Yeah,
private
we
time.
can't
I'm
do
just saying,
that.
right. But
But
theoretically, if you're following these and doing this, then this is what could happen. Something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So be careful. You've said this before, and I think you've done a decent job of teaching me this about the brain: is be careful what you pay attention to,
Hmm.
because your non-conscious brain, that's how you train it,
Garbage
and
in,
it
garbage out. Hmm.
garbage in, garbage out. And
Hmm.
another kind of cautionary tale of it could be inadvertent, but you are always training your brain,
Yeah. You always
and
are
you
training
have
your
to be
brain. You're
aware
right.
of what
Every
you are
moment.
putting in. You know,
Every
yeah,
moment your brain is in training.
yeah.
Through your thoughts and what you're reading, what you're seeing.
We're responsible for that, each
Yeah.
individual,
Yep.
and it's okay. So let me. I got to change because
Yeah,
we
please
do
do. That
this.
was kind of a
No, no,
negative
no.
side
It
of
was
stuff.
helpful for me.
Okay.
Again, a good reminder. And then also, I struggle with that whole trying to show grace to other people. And I try to show it to the people who I think need it most. But sometimes, um, we don't have time for this, but there is a theory called the paradox of tolerance that I struggle with, because I try
Yeah.
to be tolerant of
Hmm.
even intolerant people. And I think
Hmm.
that sometimes that can come back and bite me. But anyway, we're talking about be careful of what you put in your brain, what you pay attention to. So on the flip side of that, I uh, we've talked about this. I try to be mindful. To me,
Hmm.
mindfulness and meditation are two different things. But mindfulness is um, simply put, is I try to pay attention to where my feet are, where I am in the world in that moment. I try to pay attention. But I've been trying to get out of this room, because usually I try to practice in this room, and
Hmm.
I'm like, let's get outside and and try to pay attention to what's going on outside.
Yeah.
Go for a
That's
walk,
good.
go to a park. So what happened was I went into my own backyard, which is a mess. I don't want to talk about what's going on back there, landscaping wise, but I go. I'm out there, and I'm supposed to be practicing this mindfulness thing of taking the world in. And here's where I ended up without realizing it. Just I, I don't know the right word. I don't know if it was wonder or awe, what it was, but I'm watching this little ecosystem in the backyard. There's birds, there's crows, there's different kinds of birds. And I'm standing there in this trying to be mindful. And what I ended up doing was just going, how does this all work? This is amazing. And I'm just standing there watching all of it happening, and it made me feel, I don't know, some kind of way. It felt good to just be in. So, what, number one, well, what am I describing? What's the word for that?
I think you already said it. Awe,
Is
wonder.
it awe? Because
Yeah, I
awe,
think so.
yeah, okay. Because I always feel like awe is like more like when something happens and we're in awe of something. That feels like a stronger, and maybe it is. You answered
Mm.
the question, but just me standing in the backyard looking at these the birds and the trees and all the stuff and how this all. I'm just like, this is amazing. How does this all work? And I got what I would describe as like a a boost. I got a jolt, and I didn't
Hmm.
realize it until later. And I just was like, I have to ask Jon what this is and what is going on in my brain that I felt good by just stepping outside and taking it all in.
That's what you should be filling your brain with. We were talking about what not to fill your brain with.
I didn't
That
even do
is
that on
what
purpose. Okay.
that's what you need to fill your brain with, is that right there.
Yes. Yes.
And
Okay.
it is awe. And I mean, is the
Okay.
word that's commonly used, like, because there's research into this, into kind of the research, the neuroscience of awe. Things that are awe inspiring.
Okay.
And yeah, there are a lot of benefit. I mean, it's kind of that moment, like goosebumps are one of the things that are measured with awe, like where you just get this, the feeling of that. And it's, you said it made me feel, and you kind of paused, and I thought you were going to say small, because that's kind of another thing, is you feel like it's not about me now. It's kind of like, these things are happening. I'm not even contributing or controlling or helping, and look at this ecosystem that's surviving right here under my nose, and I have nothing to do with it. That makes me feel really small, because look at what all's happening without me,
Yeah.
and
And
how
okay.
amazing that is.
You picked it up though, because it's so funny you picked up on what was happening in my brain. Not surprising. But when I was describing it, I hit that point where I said it made me feel, and I almost said small.
Hmm.
The reason that I paused was because in my own brain, I felt like that might sound negative,
Mm.
and the feeling and the experience I was trying to get across to you felt so positive that
Hmm.
in that moment, when I was explaining it to you just now, you just watched whatever it was happen on camera where I started to say it made me feel so, and I was like, no, small sounds negative, and it just I
You
didn't
did
want it to be
pause.
that because it just felt so good,
Yeah. No,
but I
that
did
is a
feel
good thing.
small.
That is a good thing, feeling small. That's when you know you're really
Okay.
experiencing that sense of awe. Like, you're standing, like, so when I'm where you live, like when I'm in the Seattle area in Washington,
Mhm.
I can tell you what is always kind of awe inspiring to me, and it might sound silly to you, but it's your trees. It's all the different types of pine trees. I can stand and look. Casey and I, we would do some research out there, as you know, and we'd been out several
Mhm.
times. And Casey and I would always go. There's it's on the west side of Burien, close to the water. There is a park. So from the, I'm trying to think if it's is Auburn south or Auburndale? No, Auburndale.
Not
No.
Auburn, probably, but
So
it's south of the
if you leave the
academy.
academy and you go west, and then there's a windy road kind of along the edge, and go south a little ways, it's before
Hmm.
we get to the restaurant that we
Yeah. No, no,
went
I know
to.
exactly
Okay, so
where you're
often
talking
there,
about.
we stumbled on it. There wasn't signs to it. We stumbled onto this little park, and it wasn't that large, and there was always like one or two cars there, but you never really saw people. But it had little pathways in, and like, Casey had me pick up one of the leaf. This wasn't from a pine tree, but leaf from, like, I don't know, a maple or something. It was as big as my face. I've
Hmm.
never seen a leaf that big. And then just the pine cones and all. And we just would always go and just stand and just look up and look around. And it is crazy. And that, talk about, making you feel small. That to me is what was what I remember about that area being awe-inspiring were the trees that you guys have. There's so many of
Yeah.
them. There's like the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, except it's not dead. It's like in full bloom. It's just very sparse, but I love those. Just all kinds. It's amazing, the trees in the Northwest.
All right.
So
Well, you
that's
said
awe-inspiring.
there's research though. So what's going on in my brain when I'm out there and feeling small and
Yeah.
full of awe?
So I think one of the most interesting things, the default mode network,
Hmm.
the DMN that we talk about sometimes, that's there that helps us focus on ourselves, kind of self-assessment, and that's like consciousness is the default mode network, and it's
Right.
it's
Right.
yeah, self-explanatory. It's kind of figuring out where you're at and why, and sense making and all of that. That area changes, the activity levels change dramatically, which gives us that kind of small self feeling, that smallness feeling, is because now all of a
Hmm.
sudden it's not just about, my sense making is, oh wow, I'm really small in the big picture of things. And so that's one of the research findings, that they like fMRIs will show activity in that area.
In the
There's
default mode in
the,
that area, it lights up
the default
with,
mode network, yeah, which is
yeah.
kind of just the general overall cognitive rhythms that it's going through. The
Okay.
the prefrontal cortex is almost always involved, but that's us recognizing and realizing things. That's just kind of that making sense of this information about the ecosystem in the backyard or the trees. Or yeah, you get usually slowed heart rate and goosebumps, and your pupils dilate. You become more aware, like your attention becomes almost hyper focused. You're very much in the moment when you feel that's just like, I'm right
Hmm.
here, right now, which is probably really good for meditation or for mindfulness. Sorry, for mindfulness,
Yeah.
to think about that. Like I'm where my feet are right now is a good way to describe that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Taking
the
it all
so
in and just like, it really got, you said hyper focused, and I realized
mhm,
like in that moment, it was the sights, the smells, the sounds
mhm,
of all of that, and the whole world just kind of like faded. It was a really weird. I'm saying this because it was just like a really not weird's not the right word, but it was just a really odd experience because I wasn't. I was trying to be mindful. I was trying to do these things, but what happened, I didn't. Is not. I don't think what my intention was. It
mhm.
just everything stripped away, and I could, the sounds and like I said, the smells and everything that was going on. I was hyper focused
Mhm.
on that part. And
Yeah.
everything else, all this stuff we were talking about in the beginning, I wasn't thinking about any of that. I felt, optimistic and hopeful, and it felt good. Um,
Yeah. So research, like researchers will show, like awe-inspiring nature videos, and then they'll show just some neutral videos or some videos that are like humorous, have some humorous clips or whatever, and then look at differences in groups. And those who have those who experience or saw the awe-inspiring nature videos report feeling more connected to others. I mean, even to others, like I feel more connected
yeah,
right now. They're more willing to engage in like voluntary actions that benefit other people or other groups. So donating, sharing, cooperating, those types of things. Um, there's also um, it 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 lessens the link to kind of self focus, like we were talking about, or selfishness in a sense. And but
oh,
but
yeah,
that happens at the neural level, which is interesting. I mean, all of this is, but just think about at the neural level, I'm becoming less self focused. And so it makes people feel that. Another thing they say a lot is, I feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself. And then when you have those moments, that there's so many positive things that come out of just that, of feeling like you're connected to something bigger. like those social connections related to health, and there's health benefits and all kinds of things. So being inspired and in awe from time to time is a really healthy thing. It's really good, something good to do, something we should
What
strive through for.
I agree with that, just based on that one feeling I had just yesterday. But but can we talk a little bit more? You made a comment there. It happens on a neural level,
Mm-hmm.
and so how does it normally? I mean, can you differentiate that and talk a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, I can. So normally on the neural level is the default mode network running as it is. So I guess I should couch this as really anything we talk about is happening on the neural level. But I was just pointing out that
Okay.
you have on the neural level how neurons are interacting with each other. There's this, it's called the default mode network because that's on default. It just runs this kind of, I have this awareness of me and what's happening to me. And, it's all about me and this awareness of me. And that's the default mode. And then all of a sudden you're awe-inspired and there's changes in that. There's neural changes in that network to now I'm more open to new ways of thinking. I'm more, I exhibit more pro-social behaviors of wanting to help others. And I'm getting goosebumps, and I feel like I'm connected to something bigger. All of this is happening because you just saw something and paid attention to something and noticed something that was awe-inspiring to you. And
Yeah.
so that's I think what's crazy. I don't know if you've ever been uh, back in this area where I live in Kansas during. Have you ever been back here or experienced thunderstorms or anything like that?
I actually have. Yes.
Yeah, they're different than other places, and to me, thunderstorms
Yes,
are
they
really
are.
awe-inspiring, and just the sound and the vibrations from the thunder and the light. I don't know, it just you feel really small, like I'm a nothing right now, compared to this what's happening in the atmosphere above me and the storms. And yeah, so those types of things are. And I grew up here and then I moved away for years and years, moving around the country doing different things. And when I would come back and visit, and then especially when we moved back, I had forgotten and what thunderstorms were like, and they're kind of scary if you're not used to them. But once you're used to them, it is awe inspiring. But yeah,
Yeah.
and those types of things are, I think, really healthy for us to have those moments.
But again, you're saying like you can actually build a strong neural pathway. Like there's physical
Hmm.
changes in your brain if you do this enough.
Yeah. So sometimes we talk on the podcast. We'll say, well, what are the benefits? Like, why does this develop? What benefit does it bring? And there are some real benefits for this. So it on when you're awe inspired, it encourages kind of social behaviors and group cohesions and cooperation, because now it's not about me. Like my ego gets smaller, and then I understand that there's bigger things around me, so I want to be a part of something that's bigger. It also promotes learning. So there's research showing that if you if you can induce kind of an awe-inspiring moment with a person, or with a group
Hmm.
of people, like in the experimental group, if you can induce that awe-inspiring moments, then they're learning, their ability to learn, they learn more, they're more open to new information, and they learn it better, they retain it better. So it promotes learning in that sense. And that's probably because that sense of openness is something that helps with group cohesion and all of that. But then you can also show that it benefits in learning, reduces ego. It's linked. It can be linked through research. It's linked to mood. It reduces stress. It improves your health. I mean, there's a lot of things. And these aren't huge jumps, but if you practice noticing things, if you practice going out in nature, like you're talking about doing, and just think, I can't believe everything around me. And you're right, it can be your backyard. I mean, every backyard has a little ecosystem. And
Hmm.
so even if you get down and look at the insects and follow them for a little bit and go, what are they, what's everybody in such a hurry for? Where are they going? And kind of follow them and what they're doing. It's just amazing everything that's going on.
Yeah, it doesn't take long in your day to take
Mm-mm.
5 or 10 minutes and just go pay attention to stuff that, I mean, I don't want to say it has nothing to do with you, but it's not all about you.
No,
You
and it's
know,
not just nature either. I mean, you can do it in other ways. I mean,
how
sometimes
so? What
music,
are some other ways?
well, certain types of music can bring that moment to you, like that awe-inspiring moment of different music you're listening to. It could be like if you go to a museum, sometimes, you pass like 12 paintings and go, oh, that's good, that's good. And then all of a sudden there's something about one that's just like, oh my goodness, to you, that maybe the person with you passes it and finds another one. And but it's
Yeah,
just those kind of moments with you. Or if you go to historic sites and places and you think, man, you know people were here however many years, thousands of years ago when this was built, like what would life have been like then? And what, I don't know, just that just
yeah.
makes you feel small, but that's awe inspiring. And
Well, I
traveling,
guess
all of that.
sports.
Sports.
I really enjoy sports, watching
Hmm.
sports, talking about sports, but I think I don't know that I put two and two together here. Is like I am awe inspired by a lot of things that athletes do. That's why,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
the crazy one-handed catch, it's the home run, or whatever it is. I'm thinking now that um, I mean, I like the aspect of sports as well, but it's those
Hmm.
moments that really grip me.
There's just a moment where you go, wow. And like Michael Jordan just hanging in the air for a little bit before he shoots.
Yeah,
Like, how did he
yeah.
just do that? How did he defy gravity like that? Yeah. And so
Hmm.
you're right. It's those kinds of moments that are
I
just,
never thought about it like that. I just go, I like sports, and
yeah.
I like watching these things happen. But maybe, as I think about it, it is the moments that inspire awe in me to go, how did that person just do that thing? That is crazy.
Yeah.
And it
And
makes me
maybe,
feel, you know, good when I
yeah.
watch that.
Yeah. Maybe a way to think about it too is we have these kind of perspectives of how the world works. And then all of a sudden that perspective gets stretched in some way. Like, oh, I didn't know the world could work that way, type of thing. It can
Hmm.
happen in movies. I one of the one of my all times, thinking back when I first watched it 25 years ago or whatever, The Matrix, when he finally is figuring out how to slow things
Hmm.
down. That was just like, that's a such an amazing way to think about it. I always point back to that. I think there's been movies that have done even more than that. Maybe Inception, some others that make it, but that was the first one that was kind of mind bending in a way to me. That the one that I always go back to it, how that changed my perspective and thinking about things, and how he slowed, time down. So, yeah, it can be a lot of different things can kind of induce that feeling of awe. Those are kind
Going
of awe
to,
hacks.
uh, again, like I was thinking about, I was just trying to go through a list, right? We got sports,
Hmm.
movies, nature,
Hmm.
and that, but uh, I've heard, I don't remember if I've been, but the Grand Canyon,
Hmm.
standing at the Grand Canyon and seeing it, and again, just going, I feel so small. This is amazing. For
It's
you,
yeah.
it's the trees at the park
Hmm.
there by the sound, right, or whatever. Those are
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
What else? I'm thinking through.
Like an eclipse, we had a partial eclipse recently, and then it's just like,
Okay.
I don't know, just I've seen eclipses before. This one happened a few years ago, but we were living here. We just moved here into Kansas, just outside of Lawrence, and we live out on land, and so there's not much around us, and nature. There's birds and everything all the time, and as the sun starts to set and it's becoming twilight or whatever, there's certain crickets and bullfrogs that start up, and you can always hear them,
Hmm.
and you don't hear anything during the day. And so we, knew that there was going to be an eclipse at around 2:30 or something in the afternoon. And it was a pretty good one. This was, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe. And Casey and I went and stood out in the kind of the edge of our yard out in the field to watch. And as the, as the Earth started coming between the sun and the moon, and it started to create that eclipse. Everything started getting darker, but it was happening fairly quickly. And as it started to get dark, all the crickets and frogs started up, and I'm going, that what they are so they see things getting dark right now, so they go, oh, it's time for us to sing and
Start
croak. And
making
then
noise.
and they
Yeah.
did that through the eclipse. It lasted like, I don't know, and it didn't get to total darkness, but it got pretty dark. And then when it started lightening up again, the whole thing was like 20 minutes or something. It wasn't that long. But as it started getting light, they kind of faded out and then they were gone. And then, then that evening when the sun was setting, they came back again. I was just thinking how
Hmm.
confused they must have been at that moment. But yeah, that's stuff like that is just awe inspiring.
Yeah. So we're talking about find ways to
Hmm.
be pay attention to things and
Hmm.
try to find wonder and awe in the things you can, and the benefits from doing that again are, I mean, you said mental health, physical
Hmm.
health.
Hmm.
What else did you say? The
I
benefits.
said openness, so like learning,
Oh yeah, yeah.
social connectivity to others.
That's right.
Yeah. I wonder, and I haven't thought of this, but I bet you could take almost anything that you do on a normal basis, and if you tried to look at maybe not your routine like brushing your teeth, or maybe even that, I don't know, but just something that you do or something that you pass by regularly, if you just focus in one day, just pick something different each day and try to focus in and try to really understand that one thing, maybe that would also be enough to do it. So to inspire awe in some sense, because we're talking about your backyard, we're
Yeah.
talking about sports, we're talking about music, a movie. I mean, it seems like almost anything we do can inspire that
I
if we pay enough attention to it.
you something you just said, and maybe I don't want to drag us into too far. I know I'm maybe a bit of a new age hippie, but I was thinking about, because you brought up brushing your teeth,
Hmm.
and I'm holding a toothbrush and a tube of toothpaste in my hand, and and I do this from time to time, but I again didn't think about the benefit of it. I don't know why I do it, but I think about that toothpaste and how did it get into my hand, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay, I got it from a store. So there, the people stocking the shelves, and I don't want to belabor it, but you can kind of see the direction, right? Is like a truck had to deliver a shipment to the store. Someone had to load it onto that truck. It's like when you think about something as small as toothpaste from Safeway or from a store, really, I mean, me brushing my teeth could lead to somewhere, some manufacturer put that toothpaste in a tube and sealed it,
Yeah.
right? And the whole journey of how I got a hold of this toothpaste.
And then what was used to create it? Like, what do they put in their big vats to stir around together? And
Stuff
yeah, and
like
then where
that. I
did
mean,
they get that?
I maybe am not advocating people spend too much time thinking like that, because you have a life and a job and things to do. And hearing what you have taught me today about this, there are maybe some really simple ways. And
Hmm.
that was just a off the cuff
Hmm.
thought about, but thinking about how these things get to us, how do they happen? And maybe, because I really am trying to get what I've grabbed a hold of what you talked about is the ego part,
Hmm.
because I do think that where we are now, and I'll go back to how you opened this show.
Hmm.
A lot of it is about me and how I can get things in the world, likes, views,
Hmm.
compliments, feel good. And it extends to, I think, I think about traffic, right? Like, you cut me off. When
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
person in that car is not thinking about me, but in my car, it's all about me and what happened to me. And I can go on and on about that part of it. But
Hmm.
if you're saying the simple little thing of just like find things to be in awe of,
Hmm.
and if the effect of that can kind of help remind me that it's not all about me, I'm a very
Hmm.
small part of this whole thing. And not to say I don't matter, because again, it's about balance. I matter
Mm-hmm.
in this whole thing. I matter, but there's a lot going on around me that if I pay
Yeah.
attention to it, might
Other things
help.
matter too.
Other things matter too,
Yeah.
right?
We need to
Yeah,
realize that sometimes.
I found myself on this episode rambling a lot, but it's just all of these thoughts that I have a lot, but you help give them structure and names and talk about, like, there's actual research that it's not just some lunatic sitting in his office here. Like, this is real, and there's something to it.
Mm-hmm.
Health benefits, mental health benefits, all of it, to just find things like that you and oh, see, I'm babbling, but maybe it's wonder, that wonder part, because you said awe
Yeah, awe and wonder too. I
and
mean,
wonder,
mm-hmm.
but that's the wonder part of, like, how am I brushing my teeth with this crest right now?
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah,
did this get here? It's crazy.
it is crazy. And this is, and I think this, you mentioned the opening to this, our discussion
Yes.
then. This is kind of the opposite of that, because if you are taking time every day to find something, an awe-inspiring moment, then you are reducing your ego and you're lessening yourself, and what you are thinking and doing isn't at the top of the list. And I don't know, I just, I mean, I know that it's, the research already shows it, the pro-social behavior and all of that, but it just seems to stand kind of in contrast to what we were already talking about. And then the good feelings you get, like the goosebumps and feeling so good and it's so amazing, versus feeling really kind of gross and down. And with the other talk, the other things we were talking about, it's just everything seems to stand in a stark contrast with between those back channel outbursts and
Hmm.
those awe-inspiring moments are just so different from each other.
I don't know that this story is going to land like I hope, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. But I, out of one of our doors, one of our exit or doors that lead to the outside,
Mm-hmm.
I walked out the door like a week ago, and I walked right through a spider web. And I had some choice words for the spider, who was sitting up in the corner of the door. So when I walked through the spider web, it didn't really disturb the spider. I
Uh-huh.
just messed up the web, and he was up
It
in the
disturbed
corner.
you.
It bothered me,
Yeah.
and then so for several days, I kind of looked when I walked out the door, and then I started to see the spider was rebuilding the web in the door, and
Mm.
I'm like, I got to do something about this. I can't keep walking through this spider web. And so one day I went and this was 3 or 4 days ago, 5 days ago, but I went and grabbed the broom, and then I went outside, and the spider was back up in the corner. So I just took the broom and kind of like swept the web out. But when I did, the spider fell down to the ground, and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm problem solved. I don't feel great right now, but problem solved. And then I kind of looked, and the spider walked and kind of ran over to the wall and started climbing up the wall. And I was like, oh no, he's going to go
Don't
right
go
back to that
back to the.
spot. He's going to go back to that spot. So I kept an eye. So just yesterday, when I was doing my tour of the backyard, and I went around to this door and I looked, and the spider wasn't at the door. He had gone another 4 feet up to this light, this exterior light that's on the house. And he had
Uh,
built a spider web on the light. And I was just thinking, that worked out. Hey, thank you.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to be walking through your webs at the door. But he's got his web up there at the light, catching his food, and we can just coexist this way. So it was
Yeah.
funny, and I think that probably because it was on the heels of that awe-inspiring moment in the backyard, that I just stopped and had this little thing with the spider of, like, we're both going to be, just as long as I don't have to walk through your webs and get them on
Yeah.
my face and get angry,
We can both survive.
we can both survive just fine.
So when you said the spider fell down to the ground, you said, and problem solved. I don't feel good about it. I thought you meant fell to the ground. I stomped on him. I thought you were going to say
Oh
you said
no,
problem
no,
solved, and I don't feel good about it. And I was going to say you just messed up the ecosystem that you were so in awe over. But it turns out you didn't mess it up. You let the
no, no, no,
spider
no. I didn't
live.
stop on him.
The spider went
I'll be
and built a new
honest.
nest.
The reality is I had kind of just said to myself, as long as the spider's here, I'm just gonna every once in a while go out, and when the spider's not in the web, just kind of knock the web down. That's what
Uh-huh.
I didn't feel great about. Is all
Yeah,
that he's got to keep
all the
doing all
extra
that hard
work
work.
she's
Um,
doing. Yeah.
but when it fell down, that's not what I intended to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt bad about. But then when he
Yeah.
ran over to the wall and started climbing again, I was like, okay, we're back. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
That's awesome.
Again, I don't
So
know why I felt like telling that story. It was just more of like me standing there staring at a spider and going, you know, we both can exist on this in this the
no, I
exterior of this
like that.
house. But
I like that because that probably I'm stretching it a little bit now, but that in a sense is kind of like awe-inspiring because you're taking the time to recognize that little tiny spider and the work that it's doing, and just kind of moments like that you also are realizing there's other things around me. I think that's
and again, why I was telling that story is you got what I was trying to get across there, but then I also understand that that spider is building a spider web not for me to walk through,
yeah,
but like that's to catch
catch some
food or
insects. Yeah.
to do other things, and I understand that, and I think it's kind of cool, watching him build this spider web. It's not cool
They're
walking through it.
amazing.
I'm going to
No,
say
but
it
they're
again.
amazing,
Um,
man.
but again, that was my point of taking in like this spider is doing all of this work to build this web so that it can eat, and then
Hmm.
all the other things have spider babies and all that, and so back to my point of like maybe what I'm trying to get to. Don't be like me. That has never been my message. I don't need anyone like me. Don't do that. But take some of the messages, the teachings that the things you're trying to teach me. If people listening to this can take that and apply one of these things, just one,
Hmm. Hmm.
I truly believe that you can improve your physical health, mental health. You can improve maybe even your social dynamics, all the things John listed here. You can improve those by just doing these little things. It's not a lot. Understand how your brain works, and then try to I don't want to say train your brain, but I mean I don't know a better word. Try to train your brain good
Create
for
those
good things.
habits, those good habits. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are
yeah.
good habits.
I,
No, I agree
I
with
got a
that.
little preachy at the end, but I really believe in
That's
this.
Let me ask you one more question
Sure.
related to your moment out in your backyard.
Yeah.
Did you feel like at the time, did you feel like that there was an expansion of your time, like that you had, like all of a sudden time slowed down, that you had
It
more
slowed down.
time?
It did. It felt like it slowed down. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one. I was just had forgot about that. That was one of the other significant findings is a the expanded perception of time around awe. It's like things just slowed. It's not like they stop, but it's they slow down
They
so
slowed
much for
down.
you to have that experience and to bring it in. So,
Yeah.
all of those things are so positive. You're right, and we can
Yeah.
create habits to do that every day. I need to. You're saying you're learning from these. The questions you ask me and that we talk about make me think about these things again because I haven't thought about them in a while. I'm going, man, I need to start doing that too every day. I do try to do that, but I don't set a daily habit. But I try to see things and notice things, and like I'm usually it's nature, but there's kind of there's things that nature has that are awe inspiring, but then there's man made things that are awe inspiring, and so I need to be more aware of that. That's a good thing because of all the benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. How much good can come out of just the little things you
Hmm.
do in your life if you understand this? Like again, I appreciate you saying that, but the whole premise of this is I had the good fortune in my life to meet someone, become friends with someone who understands the brain. And I have no concept of it. And so now I'm told like once a week, I get an hour or so with this person who during that week, I have things happen and go, oh, I have to ask Jon about this. And because I am trying to be happier, more productive, more socially responsible person. And I think that the way to do it is understanding why we do the things we do in the first place. And it all comes back to how your brain works.
It really
So
does. Yeah.
I just want to tell you, I appreciate having someone like you, and specifically you, in my life that I get to ask these questions and keep learning about why I'm feeling the things I feel, why I do the things that I do. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Now that I'm not in a college classroom, you're fulfilling a need of mine too, to be able to explain something to somebody. My family gets tired of me trying to explain everything that happens. Well, what's happening is like, oh, Dad, come on. But yeah, so I get to come on here and explain it to you. So we're both benefiting,
I love that even
and
more.
our three listeners are as well, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe
Hopefully they're
not.
getting something out of it. Uh,
I
so
don't
yeah.
want to
So
speak.
again, thank you, Jon, for today and for the and just for every week. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you. Stay curious, right?
Yes. And
Stay
now I got
curious.
a new one. Is just find ways to be in awe.
Yeah.
Um, if we ever do start selling merch, like we got some pretty good taglines that we could
Yeah, we
start
do.
selling shirts and hats. But for our three listeners, if you enjoyed what you heard today and got something out of it, then like, follow, subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to the show or watching the show. Follow our socials. Jon's personal brain underscore dude every week. Still, just I love watching those clips that he puts out. We're on Blue Sky. If you have a question or a thought and you want to connect with us, jump on there and let us know. And again, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell anybody that you think could benefit from finding some wonder and awe in the world. So yeah, again, thank you everybody. Thank you, Jon. And until next week, take care of yourself and we'll see you then.
Grain to Sean. Grain to Sean.